Hey, CIS297 Capstone students, Eric Magidson here. I am your instructor for this course, and this is your team lab, creating a 5-year IT budget for a small business lecture. So through this lecture, each of your team members should watch and take notes on this lecture as I go through this, and then you'll work with your teams. We'll talk about how you're going to interact with your teams and do this. So during this lab, you and your team will create a complete 5-year total cost of ownership budget for the small business startup we have profiled. So basically, this business can be an accounting business, it can be your own IT consulting business, it can be a marketing business, it can be a new business that provides service of some sort, maybe programming, whatever. That's up to your team. Make sure you detail what kind of business your team decides. So I want to give you the freedom to do that, okay? Because maybe one of you has a business idea and you actually want to use this information that you're doing throughout the term as part of that business. So feel free to do that. So again, most of you have taken my systems analysis and design class. If you took it this year, you got a great deal of notification and understanding of total cost of ownership. So what are we talking about here? We're talking about all of the costs for the next 5 years as it pertains to leveraging technology within this startup business. Okay. So, firewalls, licensing for firewalls, licensing for cloud-based storage, licensing for office suites, maintenance fees that you might have, support fees, and then of course the cost of the software as well. That's what we're talking about. But you should include all technology the small business would need to operate effectively using the information and experience you have gained during your core classes here at COCC. So as we look through this, requirements, notice, but not the total list. So this is not comprehensive, folks. I want you all to think outside the box. I want you to think critically. What is it that I am not telling you that you need to include? So think about what technology is used within a business. So let's go through this list. Desktop computers, standard desktop computers to run supporting applications. Assume regular users are 5 and 5 power users. What this means is we're going to end up with potentially 2 different models, or at least the same model with not as much features and functionality in 5 of them. Okay. Now we're not looking at we're not looking at doing a Dell XPS, Latitude laptop with, 2 terabytes of SSD storage, 64 gigs of RAM and an i9 8-core processor. Maybe you and your team decide that there are a couple users that you think need that degree, but not everybody does, right? So when we talk about total cost of ownership, if you want to gain this contract and gain this startup company's business, you better spend just what they need and not overspend, right? And you all are the professionals to know what overspending is. So just think about those desktop users as people that are primarily going to use the Office 365. They're going to do storage. They're going to do cloud storage, that kind of stuff. Okay. So keep that in mind. And also remember communications. What is it that a small business needs in the aspect of communications? Okay. You get to decide that. I'm sure some of these people might end up getting cell phones from the company. Anyway, then laptop computers, same thing. 5 regular users, 5 power users. So those regular users are definitely going to travel, want to be mobile with their laptop computers. You can decide if you're going to include the ability for them to plug their laptop in while they're in the office. Assume that everybody, these 20 people within this company, are all going to have desks and work in the office, as well as 10 of them are going to be able to be mobile and work remotely. Okay, work remotely. Network infrastructure, I would suggest focusing on the Meraki equipment. Okay, don't forget licensing for 5 years. It's cheaper at 5 years than it is at 3, than it is at 1. Networking infrastructure needs firewall, switch, router, cables, printers, access points. Go as far as you want to go with this. I'm not saying you have to go out and order quotes. You can get online and kind of see what the pricing is. But I definitely want you to do some work around this. If you have a team of 3 people, considering you should be spending 8 hours a week on this class, that's 24 hours of putting this project together when you divide and conquer. Okay, basic office suite for 20 users. So again, think about the fact that some of these users aren't going to store a lot of data. Some are going to store a lot of data. Assume that all of these users are going to want to be able to use a downloaded version of an office suite. Okay? Now, this doesn't limit you to Microsoft Office, by the way. Do some research. Any training that will be needed. Remember that when we train our end users, okay, we get more productive end users. They quit asking simple questions of the IT department. Okay? A lot of time is consumed when the IT person, the help desk person is walking by and somebody says, you know what, can you just show me how to do a pivot table in Excel? And you're like, just show you how? Oh my God, that's an hour's worth of training, right? Now, what I used to do at Columbia Aircraft is we would have people tell us what kind of training they needed, what they were doing with the software, and then we would provide training. Today, what I would do is video demonstrations that could be consumed over and over again by end users. And then we create a library on an intranet site and off they go, okay? Or a team site with a library of videos within it. So remember, training is important. IT support. So as the company's IT support, make sure to include your fees for all of the setup costs, all of the monthly maintenance for 5 years. Now, if you want, you could probably, jump out, quickly bug Weston Computing or Verilux. I think it's Verilux. Anyway, look up IT support Bend, Oregon. You'll find a bunch of companies. Don't waste a bunch of their time. Just call them up and say, look, if I was a 20-person company with 10 desktops and 10 laptops and, a firewall, a switch, a printer, when we talk about printers, don't put a printer on every desk, okay? We're only talking 20 users. One all-in-one strategically located in the room that supports enough printing and scanning and functionality for all 20 users may be enough. That's up for you all to decide. You'll then add all of these costs together. Remember, licensing, monthly fees, annual fees, whatever it is, add it all up, come up with a lump sum, and then give me a 5-year loan at 6.75% APR, that's annual percentage rate, amortization table, so that the company can see how much they're going to spend each month, how much is going towards principal, how much is going towards interest. Folks, if you don't remember how to do an amortization table or you were never shown, I would suggest YouTube. Now, additional items. I'm going to leave this up to you and your team to be creative and think about what else might need to be provided for this startup company. If you feel there's anything else that should be included, I can tell you there is. I'm not giving you every answer. For example, do you need network-based security? Security software, perhaps? That might be something to consider. Security integration between the cloud. What am I talking about there when I say between the cloud? If somebody's on the internet accessing data, how are they going to do it? How are they going to get back into the company and access data? Training end users to store data in the cloud. Again, that's just an example of a training you might provide. Remember, not everybody is familiar with today's modern technology. The deliverable, you and your team we're going to use Microsoft Teams. I'm going to set up a feed right after I complete this video, which is actually for the second time because I did a video yesterday where I turned off my audio and then I just recorded this whole thing without any audio. So I actually had to re-record it. But we're going to use Microsoft Teams. I'm going to start a feed. I'm going to put this video in there. Once you've watched this video, you have notes. Your teams have communicated. Ask questions there. All of the teams will see all of the questions. And folks, I expect questions. Okay? You wouldn't do this without asking your customer a bunch of questions. Consider me your customer. I'm going to answer those questions for all of the teams so that you all get the same information. Okay? That's the important part of this. Now, you and your team will use, Microsoft Teams application to work and then finalize the above budget. Then one member of your team will upload that into Blackboard, however you decide to present it. But I would definitely do a proposal type format, okay, that's professionally put together. You know, you're probably going to embed a lot of Excel into it, you know, with charts and graphs and costs and etc. You know, and don't forget features and functionalities. Don't just tell me that you're giving me 5 regular user laptops and it's a Dell XYZ. Give me the basic information on the Dell XYZ. That's what's its form factor. You know, are you including monitors? I hope. Keyboards, I hope. All that good stuff. What's its processor? What's its memory? You know, just the basics, if that makes sense. And the fact is you can probably copy and paste a lot of that right off of your quotes when you go out to the web to do the research. So folks, to be clear, I am looking for a professional put together document as the submission for your team. Okay. Let me know if you have any questions. Again, those will be done in Microsoft Teams. I hope you all have a great day. Take care.